In the past, I've talked about how important marketing is at a company, and I know that's not an exciting topic. It's comics. We're supposed to be talking about heroes and villains and big events and the earth shaking and things that are going on. And marketing. I mean, who wants to talk about marketing when you're talking about comics? But marketing continues to be just an incredibly broken part of this entire industry. And as much as people rail against social justice topics and creator behavior and everything else, it's marketing, or rather the complete lack of marketing, that's really killing comics faster than anything else. Hey everybody, this is Perch. I just thought of something during the break. I always put a little pause, like when I do these videos, especially when I'm driving, which is now. And no, I'm not driving unsafely. This is hands free. Life is good. No worries. I mean, don't concern troll me over that. But I insert a little break for myself. I do a little lead in, and I pause for a couple seconds. It's just a visual indicator for me to know where to put the break in when I assemble the video. But it dawned on me, there's one area where the absolute abysmal marketing that's going on within comics is actually beneficial. Because if comics was marketing better, if they had a better connection with the fans and a better description of what was going on, then a lot of this kind of absolute silliness, the various, sex scandals and other things that have gone on within comics, the absolutely bonkers kind of trolling and absolute nuttiness, the absolute not just polarization but unprofessional polarization you see on social media. Nobody, most people don't know it exists. That's kind of the comedy of this whole thing. It goes back to that question that I answered a couple days ago, which is, why don't more comic shops complain about this kind of behavior? And the answer is most comic shops don't know it's happening, and that goes double for fans. Most fans don't know what's happening either. It's easy to go, hey, we're all on Twitter, and but no, the majority of comic fans are not on Twitter. The majority of shops aren't on Twitter. Nobody's seeing any of this stuff. So in this case, here's one area where the lack of what's going on in the industry is actually playing to its favor. Because can you imagine if this was more visible? I mean, Jesus, everybody would just be at war with each other all the time. But that's not what really this video is about. This video is about it's the abysmal form of marketing. And here's where I have trouble wrapping my head around it. You're talking about properties, superheroes, fully within the control of the creators and the companies. They know what they're producing, like a movie studio does, like a music studio does. They know what they've got and what they're trying to put out into the market, into the world. And yet, they blow it consistently with the reach out to that audience. And you can see this in kind of the absolute cluster that is how death metal rolled out, followed by Future State, and Endless Winter is in there, and we got Generations, and then the DC Omniverse, and whatever the hell they're going to brand things in March. I mean, that is a mess. And it's a mess for comic retailers. As I mentioned before, you're not doing shops any favors at all by making things so effing confusing. But you're also confusing the fans. The fans, you're making one gigantic assumption that is a terrible assumption to make, and that is that fans will just follow along whatever you do and not pay much attention. And if you think that the comic publishers are not making that assumption, you're kidding yourself, because they consistently have rolled things out, changed things, altered characters, rebooted titles, everything else. And their underlying belief is that you, as the reader, is just going to smile and just go along with whatever they do. And the crazy part about this is history absolutely, definitively, by sales numbers, by everything else, proves to us that that is not the case. That you can definitely do things that cause your audience to jump off. I did the video about DCU and Convergence and what happened there. They shed a ton of their audience. By contrast, you also get positive reinforcement. For whatever you think about DC's New 52, the message and the marketing around the New 52 was very tight and very strong. And it was very clear to customers what they were getting. Some people were mad. Absolutely. Long-term collectors, people who didn't want to see the entire universe ripped apart and start over again, were upset. There were lots of people, and you can, go to the web archives and see them today, who are really, really pissed about this, who really did not like the fact that DC was messing around with their continuity, that they were erasing history. People were not happy. But the sales numbers proved that it worked, that they were able to provide a consistent message to customers saying, here's what you're going to get. And people jumped in, and the sales numbers went up. Now, of course, over time, it faded away. The content didn't keep people, but the message was clear. So you can see plenty of evidence that when you have a clear message, it works. And when you have a convoluted, jumbled, goofy ass message, it does not work. Which is why, if we're just purely taking a historical look at things, it's why Future State and what DC has going on in March should have some people concerned. It's November now. You've basically got 2 months. By this time in December, by mid-December, we will know significant details of what DC is going to look like through the rest of 2021. We're going to know what March is starting to look like. The orders and solicitations will be out. We'll have a pretty good sense of it. And that's not a lot of time to basically rally your audience with a consistent message of, here's what you want to look at, here's what you're going to do. Marvel, by contrast, is pretty much going with we've got King in Black, and I would estimate sometime before December is out, they're going to have to start building up what the big event in 2021 is going to be. What's it going to look like in the summer? Who's going to be leading it? Is it the X-Men's turn again? I would assume that we're going to get another Ten of Swords-like thing in the later half of 2021. But what's the other thing that we're going to get? We got to get something. Maybe something with the Hulk. I don't know. Who's left? We're going to have to do that. So, Marvel in this case beats DC, not with a particularly good message, but at least with a clear one. Whether you like it or not, it is easier for you to wrap your heads around what Marvel is doing, which is, we've got our comics, they're the same comics you've got, we're relaunching some of them. That may be annoying, but hey, we've got this event, and after that there will be another event, and another event, and that's that. It's not necessarily a happy message, but it's one that people can understand. And DC, on the other hand, struggles here. I think we are at this moment in time where we will see a lot of things fall in 2021 based on the marketing and how easy it is for people to consume it. I did this news video just a couple days ago around, here's Generations, it's not connected to Future State, here's what we know. And you look at the responses, just go read the comments. You've got people who are comic fans who have followed along for various crisis continuities and multiverses and all kinds of convoluted crap, and they're like, I have no idea what's going on here. Now, are they exaggerating? Are they making up? I don't think so. I think you legitimately got fans that are confused. And this could be solved very, very easily. All it would take is a relatively friendly, relatively excited individual. So you leave Tom King at home, but you can bring your Scott Snyders or your Jim Lees or somebody like that, bring them out, put them in front of a camera and say, hey, look, here's what to do. We have this thing, Future State. It's going to be 2 months, and it's showing you a possible future of the DC universe. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have a lot of things in there that you'll be able to, little Easter eggs you'll pick up in the comics as they go forward. And then over here, we have this Generations event, and this is a celebration of the different eras of the DC history that really comes together in a time caper that will be fun if you've been following along with DC for many years. And in March, we're going to have an exciting, very, very clear direction. You're going to have some core, interesting, classic characters, classic villains in Batman, in Superman, in The Flash, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. We're going to be telling some classic stories with some of the biggest moments and biggest villains that you've ever seen. That's what we have to look forward to, and I hope you're interested. What I just described is me, some schmuck on YouTube making a video. How hard would it be to get a Jim Lee or a Scott Snyder or somebody like that to come out and just lay that message out with some nice visuals behind it? Just lay it out. And then stop dicking around with the branding. Is it generations? Is it 5G? Is it what are you doing? Like literally just pick a couple names and stay there. Just stick with it. Don't stop confusing your audience. You're making it very hard for people to consume your product. You shouldn't make it this hard for people to invest in. And it goes back to what I said earlier. It feels the majority of the time like the comic publishers are largely under the impression that whatever they do, whether it's good, bad, stupid, or smart, fans will be there. There is this assumption that fans are just going to show up to the party, whatever it is you do. And I think that's a terrible assumption. And I think there's plenty of evidence that that is not true. But that is the thought process within the companies. I don't know. What do you think? I talk a lot about marketing, but it really is, that is the thing that erodes support faster than anything. It's also leaving so much money on the table, just so much. I would love to fix this problem for you, DC, whoever. Just call me up. I'm here, free, free. I will do it for free because I'll do it for free because fuck, it's not that hard. I mean, this is not that hard. I'm doing this while I'm driving, for God's sake. Anyway, hey, what do you think? Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Interested in your comments. I'm sure I'm overreacting, but what the hell, right? It's that kind of world. Thanks for listening.